Our story returns to the intellectual arena in the second half of the 17th century, right after the restoration of King Charles II. While the old witch trials were fading, a fierce battle was being fought, not in the courts, but on paper, between two powerful English scholars, Joseph Glanvill and John Webster. This was the final, high-stakes literary war over whether witches and the supernatural were real. The champion of belief, Joseph Glanvill. On one side stood Joseph Glanvill, a respected member of the newly formed Royal Society, the scientific community. Paradoxically, Glanvill was a passionate defender of witchcraft. He believed that if he could prove that witches and demons existed, he could also prove the existence of an immaterial soul, and, by extension, God himself. Glanvill wrote the influential book Sadducismus Triumphatus. In it, he meticulously collected and analyzed cases of possession and witchcraft, attempting to provide irrefutable scientific evidence that the devil was active. He argued that anyone who doubted the existence of witches was a materialist and a secret atheist. Glanvill's goal was to defend the entire spiritual world against the rising tide of rationalism. The champion of skepticism, John Webster. On the opposing side stood John Webster, a former military surgeon and a formidable intellectual. Webster was the champion of common sense and logic. He saw the witch trials not as holy wars, but as tragic errors caused by ignorance and fear. Webster's primary argument was simple. The cases presented by Glanvill, the fits, the strange voices, the vomiting of pins, could all be explained by natural causes. He pointed to mental illness, fraud, and misdiagnosis by doctors and clergy. Webster's writing was direct and rational, attacking the very basis of Glanvill's religious and moral panic. This debate between Glanvill, who used science to defend superstition, and Webster, who used reason to demand skepticism, was crucial. Glanvill's dramatic stories were initially popular. Webster's logical arguments found their home among the judges and the educated gentry. The legal system absorbed Webster's skepticism. Judges began to demand higher standards of evidence, to treat possessions as medical cases, and to dismiss the flimsy testimony about familiars. By the end of the century, the tide had conclusively turned. The literary war had stripped the witch hunt of its intellectual legitimacy. Though the law itself was not repealed for decades, the willingness of the courts to hang a witch had effectively vanished, ensuring that the terrible era of the great English witch trials had finally drawn to a close.